Thanks for coming. I don't really know the best way to begin. So what I'll do is start at the beginning. When spiritual practices are successful, there is an inflow of energy into the being. Much like filling a pot with water. Now, the pot is leaky. In other words, you use the force of the kundalini to manifest your life. But the spiritual practice you do, and they're numerous, causes more energy to stay in the pot. It's an odd way of saying it, but that's what happens. We talk about spiritual energy as being tapas. They have a special word for it. But the energy is active and alive and moving. Eventually, you develop the ability to affect your reality around you with the transmuted tapas, which becomes ojas. See, I'm doing this talk just to have people that just wanted to talk about sex, get bored and go away. This video is made for two distinct groups of people. One is the people that want to know how they can quickly get into the state of Samadhi. And quickly implies that this could have bad side effects. So this is, people talk about the kundalini and awakening the kundalini. Okay, here is one way that it can really change things. That is the aspect of the kundalini as the life force. This is the loaded pistol of spirituality. And I thought, no, I won't talk about this. I don't want to be known as a sex guru. So I've been waiting for somebody else to come along. And because this is the trend of the Satya Yuga, to know everything about spiritual practice. And instead, what's happened is that people, spiritual teachers, have denigrated the second group. Calling them spiritual cowards and worse. And that's the lesbians, the gays, the bisexual, the transgenders. And these are people that have failed. Let me put it reworded. They haven't failed. They got ensnared by the sexual energy. And that event was so transformative that at the end of life, that was all they could think about. So this is the law of the last thought working its way out into sexual preference. So, no matter what Mr. Acharya says, that these are spiritual cowards in some way, no, it's because they were people that tried to advance their spirituality and their sexuality at the same time. So it did a disservice to them. And that's why I felt it was important to make this statement. At some time in your spiritual practice, the energy is going to build up in your body and somehow express itself. Find a new opening. So it's like you fill up a pot and there's a small leak, and the water, or in this case the energy, squirts out. It appears in your outside environment. Now, Patanjali talks about this spilling out a little bit in the 3rd chapter. Where he talks about the cities and how to manifest them. So he's saying, okay, well, make a hole in your being so you can see that you're filled up with this much energy. But even Patanjali doesn't talk very much about the process of filling up more. Hidden. For instance, Patanjali only talks about 2 or 3 times about pranayama in the 200 sutras. Well, pranayama is a big deal. Okay. Anyway, so the pot is getting filled with energy. Eventually, before you get to the state of Samadhi, this energy will be felt in your body as a sexual energization. So you can imagine monks that are busy practicing their practices, and all of a sudden, one morning, they get up and they're, without any warning, they have an erection. They're horny. This is a sign of the kundalini rising, manifesting in their body as a leak in the pot. But there's more. once the yogis had realized that this was happening, and this is what is elaborated by the Tibetan Buddhists quite a bit, they realized that, my God, this is a powerful force. And they actually went and developed techniques for having a samadhi brought on by sex. And you'll see pictures if you go look. Yab yum. And I thought about putting, links in and telling people there's this about the Shiva Shakti. Just go through that just for a minute. Okay. Shiva Shakti, you can find pictures on, if you just go Google, okay, there's pictures of representation of a man and a woman being the same person. Well, if you believe in karma, okay, in past lives you were a woman, if you're a man now, and you are a woman when you were a man in a past life. And it just depends on the karma, how you express that. Now, one of the Tibetan practices is to go off into, as a monk, go off into a little hut off into close by the hermitage, and people will bring you food and take waste away, and you stay there and you do a practice that allows you to relive your past lives as dogs, as animals, as subhuman species, whatever, in your past. Now, what they don't tell you when they say that is, well, some of these lives are as man as a woman. And this is really the idea behind, one of the aspects behind the idea of the Shiva Shakti. That you were a woman, you were a man. But what they discovered when they did their investigations was, you still can be both. Okay, so this gives a whole new twist to the statement that God is neither a Mr. nor a Mrs., but a mystery. You're beyond male and female. You are that great being that has created this whole universe. They use this as a tool to help you discover that. And in the process, your sexual life had an extraordinary state. And so when you look at the Yab Yum pose, it can't even begin to express the overwhelming state that you become. It's a type of samadhi. You have this one picture of this guy and his eyes are rolling back in his head. And, you know, when you'll see the colored pictures of them, you'll see their eyes are red. These are all signs, outward signs of that internal flood of energy within you. And briefly how it works is, okay, and this is a clue to all these things about the transgender people and the bisexual, is that parts of your body trigger this arousal. And if you're a man, you pretend to be a woman. Other things, okay, is that you interfere with the flow of the semen so that it stays inside the body. All these things trigger the thought that this body is female in a man. And so then that brings on that orgasm that a woman has. But then you alternate and you become a man again. And it takes some training for, usually it's a woman that does this, and so she's very much respected for this ability. Anyway, so in your spiritual practice, when you have this come on, these urges come on, then know that your practices are successful. But here's the problem. If you don't have someone to tell you what's happening, you're likely to abuse and misuse this energy. And in the Christian church, this happens all the time on any number of levels. It comes from the statement that they say, oh, I'm a sinner. And therefore, by the law of attraction, whatever you think of, you must do. You must be. If you're a sinner, eventually you have to manifest that because the energy tells you to sin. If you're in a religious tradition and that energy becomes overwhelming at the time of death, the law of the last thought says, whatever you think of at the moment of death completely determines your next life. So if you're a woman, but you have conflicting feelings, well, you may be born as a man who says it was a mistake that you were not a woman. And that's what transgender, from male to female. So when you see these people, and they've had this problem in the past, this is how it's expressing, you feel compassion to them. Do what you can to help them. It's enough to know, to be able to ask a question. So I've told you this, and if you're one of those, of either of those two groups, you will look for the answer for yourself. It's because that is an overwhelming drive in your life. You can't even, because this is a type of samadhi, you want to repeat it over and over again. So just to know that this is the answer will direct your search. You will know. You will become accomplished. Thank you.